Chosen one, there are moments in life that feel too precise to be accidents, too perfectly timed, too layered with meaning to be dismissed as coincidence. You glance at your phone and it reads 3:33. You wake up in the middle of the night, 3:33 a.m. You're sitting in traffic, lost in thought, and the car in front of you has 333 in the license plate. You pay for something and the change comes back to you, $3.33. It happens once and you shake it off. It happens twice and you raise an eyebrow. But when it keeps happening, day after day, especially on a day like May 10th, you stop, you breathe, and you ask yourself, what is this? This is not a coincidence, this is a conversation, and it has been going on longer than you realize. Let's start with who you are. Not your name, not your job, not your relationship status, who you actually are beneath all of that. Because the number 333 does not appear to everyone. It does not chase just anybody through their mornings and their midnights. The people who see 333 repeatedly, especially on specific dates like May 10th, are people who carry something different inside them. There is a weight in them that most others don't feel, a knowing, a restlessness, a sense that they were placed here for something they haven't fully stepped into yet. If any part of that resonates with you right now, listen carefully, because this message is for you specifically. The number 3 in spiritual and numerological traditions across the world is one of the most sacred numbers in existence. It represents the Trinity not just in Christianity, where it speaks to the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, but in virtually every ancient spiritual system humanity has ever developed. In Hinduism, it is Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. In ancient Egypt, it was the divine triad. In Celtic tradition, the triple spiral, the triskelion, was carved into stone thousands of years ago to represent the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The number 3 has always pointed to something beyond the physical. It points to divine completion, to wholeness, to a sacred architecture that underlies all of creation. Now triple that energy. Take the sacred vibration of 3, multiply it, concentrate it, and you get 333. This is not just a number you see on a clock. This is a frequency, a spiritual signal, a coordinated message that the universe, your guides, your higher self, whatever framework you use to understand the invisible, is sending you with urgency. And when it appears on a day like May 10th, during a period that many spiritual practitioners and numerologists consider to be a pivotal point in personal and collective awakening, it becomes something you cannot responsibly ignore. May 10th itself carries its own numerological significance. In numerology, dates are reduced to their core vibration. May is the 5th month. The 10th reduces to 1. 5 plus 1 equals 6, but there's a deeper layer. The year, the alignment, the personal numerological chart of the individual receiving this message, all of these factors converge to amplify what 333 is trying to say. And what 333 is trying to say in its most essential translation is this: you are not behind, you are not broken, you are not too late. You are being prepared, and the preparation is almost complete. Think about your life in the past several months. Think about what has fallen apart. Think about what you walked away from, or what walked away from you. Think about the relationships that ended, the doors that closed, the plans that didn't work out the way you designed them. At the time, it felt like failure. It felt like punishment. It felt like the universe had turned its back on you. But now, from where you stand today, seeing 333, consider the possibility that none of that was destruction. All of it was redirection. All of it was the universe clearing the path for something that your limited human vision couldn't yet see. 333 is the number of divine alignment in motion. It doesn't appear to people who have already arrived. It appears to people who are in the process of becoming, and the process of becoming is often uncomfortable, disorienting, and lonely. If you've been feeling all 3 of those things lately, good. That is exactly how it's supposed to feel. The caterpillar in the chrysalis does not experience transformation as beautiful. It experiences it as dissolution. It experiences it as losing itself entirely. But the dissolution is the point. You cannot become what you are meant to be while still clinging to what you were. The chosen one. That phrase tends to make people uncomfortable in the modern world. It sounds arrogant, it sounds like a fantasy trope. But here's what being a chosen one actually means in the spiritual context. It does not mean you are better than anyone else. It does not mean you are more deserving of love or grace or abundance than the person sitting next to you. It means you have been selected by your own soul before you came into this body to carry a specific assignment, a specific light, a specific frequency of healing, truth, or creation that the world needs in this exact moment in history, and part of your journey is accepting that, not with arrogance but with deep, humble responsibility. Most chosen ones spend the first significant portion of their lives running from their assignment. They numb it, they downplay it, they convince themselves they're ordinary because ordinary feels safer. Ordinary doesn't carry the weight of purpose. Ordinary doesn't ask you to show up in ways that terrify you. But 333 has been showing up in your life to tell you that the time of running is finished. The time of hiding is over. The universe has been patient with you. It has given you the space to grieve, to rest, to doubt, to wander. But May 10th is a threshold. And on the other side of this threshold is the version of you that you have always known, deep in the quietest part of yourself that you could be. Let's talk about what 333 means in terms of divine communication specifically. When your guides, whether you call them angels, ancestors, spirit guides, or your higher self, want to communicate with you, they use the only language available to them across the veil between dimensions, pattern. They cannot call you on the phone, they cannot send you an email. What they can do is influence the subtle mechanisms of synchronicity so that you keep encountering the same numbers, the same symbols, the same themes in your physical reality. 333 is one of the clearest and most deliberate of these signals. It is classified in angelic numerology as an angel number, a direct transmission from the celestial realm, and it carries three primary messages. The first message is your prayers have been heard. Not some of them, all of them. Every desperate whisper you offered up in a dark moment. Every quiet plea you sent into the silence when you didn't even know who you were praying to. Every night you lay awake wondering if anything you were doing mattered, if you were on the right path, if you would ever find your way. All of it was received. The universe is not deaf, your guides are not absent. They have been with you through every moment of confusion and every moment of breakthrough. 333 is their way of confirming that your communication has not been going into a void. It has been landing and it has been responded to, and you are now beginning to receive the answer in the physical. The second message is expand. Whatever you have been holding back, express it. Whatever dream you have been treating as too big, pursue it. Whatever creative work you have been keeping private because you're afraid of judgment, share it. 333 is the energy of expansion. It is the energy of the universe saying, you were not given this vision by accident. You were given this vision because you have the specific capacity to bring it into the world. The gift was tailored to the carrier. Your dream is not too big for you. You are exactly the right size for it. Stop shrinking, start moving. The time is now. The third message is perhaps the most intimate. You are not alone. This one is for the people who have been doing the work in isolation. The ones who have been healing themselves quietly, building themselves quietly, growing themselves quietly, while also managing the feeling that no one around them truly understands what they're moving through. 333 reaches through the veil to remind you that the loneliness is an illusion of the physical dimension. In the spiritual dimension, you are surrounded, you are held. There is an entire company of light beings who are invested in your journey, who celebrate every step you take, who carry you when you are too depleted to carry yourself. You may feel alone in the human sense, but you have never been alone in the cosmic sense. Now let's address the timing. Why May 10th? Why does 333 carry amplified weight on this specific date? There is an energetic quality to time that most of us were never taught to notice. Not all days are created equal. Not all moments in the calendar year carry the same vibrational charge. Certain dates, especially those that align with numerological gateways, solar events, and collective energetic shifts, act as portals. They are moments when the boundary between the visible and invisible becomes thinner, when messages from the unseen world penetrate the seen world more easily, when decisions made carry more weight, when seeds planted take root more deeply. May 10th falls within a period of the year that spiritual traditions across cultures have long recognized as potent. In the Northern Hemisphere, it sits in the golden window between Beltane and the summer solstice, a time historically associated with growth, activation, fertility of ideas, and the full blooming of what was planted in winter. The energy of the date amplifies every intention, every choice, every moment of clarity or commitment. And when 333 shows up within this energetic window, it is not subtle, it is a megaphone. It is the universe turning the volume all the way up. What are you supposed to do with this? That's the practical question, and it deserves a real answer. The first thing you do is acknowledge it. You stop dismissing 333 as a quirk of perception or a confirmation bias. You receive it. You say out loud or in the privacy of your own mind, I hear this, I receive this, I am paying attention. This act of acknowledgement is not a small thing. In the language of the spirit world, attention is currency. When you direct your conscious attention toward a message, you open the channel wider. You signal that you are ready to receive not just the sign, but the fullness of what the sign is pointing toward. The second thing you do is get still. In a world that is constantly accelerating, constantly demanding that you produce and perform and be available and be responsive, the most radical and spiritually powerful thing you can do is stop. Sit down, breathe. Create enough silence in your life that the messages that have already been sent can actually land. 333 often appears with increased frequency when your guides are trying to get through to you, but the noise of your daily life is drowning out the signal. Take the appearance of 333 as an invitation to carve out sacred silence. Meditate, journal, walk in nature without headphones. Sit with the discomfort of your own thoughts until the thoughts quiet and something deeper rises. The third thing you do is take inventory of your alignment, because 333, while it is always a message of divine support, is also a call to self-examination. It asks, where are you not being honest with yourself? Where are you staying out of fear when your soul is calling you forward? Where have you been pretending that something is okay when it isn't, in your relationships, your work, your health, your spiritual practice? The chosen ones are not asked to be perfect, but they are asked to be honest. Radical self-honesty is the foundation of the work. You cannot build a life of true purpose on a foundation of comfortable self-deception. The fourth thing, and this is perhaps the most important, is to make a decision, not a tentative one, not a I'll try this and see what happens one, a real one, a committed one. May 10th is a portal, and portals require a step. The universe has been preparing you. Your guides have been guiding you. 333 has been appearing to tell you that you are ready. But readiness without action is just potential energy, and potential energy alone changes nothing. What is the one thing you have been circling without committing to? What is the conversation you have been afraid to have? What is the project you have been afraid to start? What is the belief about yourself that you have been afraid to release? On this day, in this moment, make the decision that your future self has been waiting for you to make. There is a reason the message comes as 333 and not just 3. The repetition is intentional. 3 is divine. 333 is divine completeness. Mind, body, and spirit, all in alignment, all pointed in the same direction, all working together rather than against each other. Most people live their lives with these three aspects fragmented. The mind wants one thing, the body is carrying the trauma of something else, and the spirit is quietly screaming for something entirely different. 333 is a call to integration, to coherence, to becoming a unified being who moves through the world from a place of wholeness rather than fragmentation. This integration doesn't happen overnight, but it begins with a moment. It begins with a choice to stop compartmentalizing yourself, to stop being one person at work and another person at home and another person in prayer and another person in the mirror at 2 a.m. The chosen one path is the path of integration. It is the path of becoming so coherent, so aligned, so genuinely yourself, that your very presence becomes a field of permission for others to do the same. You don't have to have a platform. You don't have to have an audience. Your alignment itself is the ministry. Your wholeness itself is the service. Think about the people in your life who have most profoundly changed you. Was it always what they said? Or was it sometimes simply how they existed? The person who was so deeply themselves that being around them made you remember something you had almost forgotten about yourself. That is the power of the aligned chosen one. That is what 333 is activating in you, not just for your own sake, though your flourishing matters deeply, but for the cascading effect your flourishing has on everyone in your sphere. There is a dimension of 333 that speaks directly to creativity, and this one deserves careful attention because it is often the most personally urgent. The number is associated in many traditions with the energy of creation itself, with the divine impulse to bring something from the realm of spirit into the realm of matter. If you have been feeling an unexplained urge to create something, to write something, to build something, to start something, to make something, 333 is not just acknowledging that urge, it is telling you that the urge is not coming from you, or rather, it is not coming from the small, fearful, conditioned version of you. It is coming through you from a source much larger than your individual personality. The things we are called to create are not personal projects. They are assignments. They are the universe working through a specific human instrument to produce something the world needs. When you resist creating, when you sit on the idea, when you dismiss the inspiration, when you wait until you feel more qualified or more ready or more certain of the outcome, you are not just disappointing yourself, you are creating a gap in the collective fabric. Something that was meant to exist in the world does not exist, because the one person through whom it was meant to flow chose not to flow. This is not guilt, this is responsibility, and 333 carries that responsibility with tremendous love. It is not a message of urgency born from fear, it is a message of urgency born from love. The universe loves what you are capable of creating. It loves the people who would be touched by what you have to offer. It loves you enough to keep sending the signal, to keep knocking, to keep appearing in the most impossible to ignore configurations. 3:33 on the clock, $3.33 in your wallet, 3:33 on the page you happen to open, because it believes in you even when you have forgotten to believe in yourself. Let's speak plainly about faith for a moment. Not religious faith specifically, though if that is your framework, it is entirely valid, but the broader, more elemental kind of faith that 333 calls you to practice. The faith that says, I cannot see where this is going, but I trust the direction. I cannot verify the outcome, but I trust the process. I cannot guarantee that the leap will be met with solid ground, but I trust that if I am being called to leap, I will not be abandoned in midair. That kind of faith is not passive, it is not wishful thinking. It is an active, practiced, daily choice to align your actions with the truth of who you are, rather than the fear of what might go wrong. The chosen one does not have certainty. The chosen one has commitment, and the universe responds to commitment in ways it does not respond to hesitation. When you commit, when you say yes with your whole self, when you stop hedging and start moving, the synchronicities accelerate, the right people appear, the resources reveal themselves, the doors that have been closed suddenly have keys in the locks. This is not magic. This is the natural consequence of alignment. When your energy, your intentions, and your actions all point in the same direction, reality reorganizes itself around that coherence. May 10th, with 333 as its signal, is inviting you into that coherence. It is saying the conditions are as favorable as they are going to get. The preparation has been thorough. The support is in place. What are you waiting for? There will never be a moment with more guarantee than this one. There will never be a version of you who is more ready than the version of you that exists right now, having received this message, standing at this threshold. The only question is whether you will choose to walk through it, or whether you will watch it close and spend the next chapter of your life wondering what might have been. You are not an accident. Your life is not a random series of events. The struggles you have survived were not punishments, they were the curriculum. They were precisely calibrated to develop in you the specific strength, compassion, resilience, and wisdom that your assignment requires. Every scar is a qualification. Every breakdown was a breakthrough in disguise. Every moment you thought the universe had forgotten you was actually a moment the universe was trusting you with the kind of growth that only comes through darkness. 333 knows your history. It has been watching, and it is appearing now to tell you that the history has served its purpose. The chapter of testing is complete. What begins now, what begins on May 10th, in the moment you consciously receive this message, is the chapter of manifestation. The chapter where all of the inner work begins to show up in the outer world. The chapter where the life you have been building in silence and in faith begins to take visible form. The chapter where you stop waiting for permission and start giving yourself the one permission that actually matters. The permission to be exactly who you were created to be. You are the chosen one. Not because you are flawless, not because you have it all figured out, not because you have arrived, but because something in you chose before you had a name, before you had a body, before you had any of the identities and stories and wounds that now make up your human experience. Something in you chose this life, chose this moment, chose this assignment. And 333, appearing to you again and again, is the echo of that original choice, calling you home to yourself. Receive it, act on it, become it. The divine has spoken. It spoke in 3, and then it spoke again, and then again, because you are worth repeating. The moment you see 333 for the first time, you might smile and move on. The second time, something stirs in you, a quiet curiosity, a subtle awareness that this is unusual. But by the third, fourth, fifth time, something deeper activates, a recognition, not the kind that lives in the mind, but the kind that lives in the body. a knowing that settles into your bones before your rational brain has even had the chance to form an argument against it. That knowing is not imagination. That knowing is intelligence, spiritual intelligence, responding to a real signal that has been deliberately placed in your path. The universe does not communicate the way humans do. It cannot sit across from you at a table and speak in sentences. It cannot send a letter to your address or leave a voicemail on your phone. What it can do is infinitely more sophisticated. It works through the fabric of reality itself, through timing, through pattern, through the precise orchestration of moments that your conscious mind would ordinarily dismiss as random. The appearance of 333 is one of the clearest examples of this orchestration in action. It is not the number appearing once that carries the message. It is the repetition, the persistence, the way it finds you across different contexts, different environments, different emotional states, as if it is following you because it is. Your guides, angels, higher self, whatever name you give to the invisible intelligence that has always been walking alongside you, communicate through pattern because pattern is the one language that can cross the boundary between dimensions. They influence the subtle mechanisms of synchronicity so that your eyes land on the clock at exactly 3:33, so that the total on your receipt rounds to $3.33, so that you wake from a deep sleep and the first thing you see is 3:33 glowing in the dark. These are not accidents of perception. They are not your mind finding what it wants to find. They are coordinated moments arranged with precision, designed to break through the noise of your daily life and deliver something your soul urgently needs to receive. The number 3 itself is one of the most sacred in the entire spectrum of human spiritual tradition. Across cultures that never communicated with each other, across centuries that never overlapped, the number 3 was independently recognized as a symbol of divine completeness. It appears in the holy trinities of Christianity, Hinduism, and ancient Egypt. It appears in the triple goddess of Celtic tradition, in the 3 jewels of Buddhism, in the 3 pillars of Kabbalah. This is not cultural borrowing. This is independent recognition of a truth embedded in the architecture of existence itself. 3 is the number where energy becomes structure, where idea becomes form, where the divine becomes tangible. When you triple that vibration, when 3 becomes 333, you are not simply adding numbers. You are concentrating a frequency. You are receiving the full force of divine completeness, aimed directly at your life, at this specific moment in your journey. The message it carries is threefold and unmistakable. First, that everything you have asked for in prayer, in thought, in longing, has been heard without exception. Second, that the time for contraction is finished, and expansion is not only possible but required of you now. Third, that despite every feeling of isolation you have carried, you have never once been without spiritual companionship. To dismiss 33 as coincidence is to misunderstand the nature of coincidence itself. There is no such thing as a meaningless pattern in a universe that is fundamentally made of meaning. Every signal that finds you repeatedly, that follows you across the ordinary moments of your life, is a sentence in a conversation that has always been happening. 333 is not the universe whispering. It is the universe speaking clearly, directly, and with complete confidence that you are finally ready to listen. The phrase "chosen one" carries baggage. It arrives wrapped in centuries of mythology, religious narrative, and modern fantasy storytelling, and somewhere along the way it became synonymous with being special in the most elevated, untouchable sense of the word. The hero who stands above the crowd. The one who was born different, who exists on a plane others cannot reach. That version of the chosen one is a distortion. It is the ego's corrupted interpretation of something that is actually far more grounded, far more demanding, and far more beautiful than any superhero origin story has ever captured. Being a chosen one, in the truest spiritual sense, has nothing to do with superiority. It has nothing to do with being more loved by the universe than the person sitting beside you, more deserving of grace than the one who has struggled longer or fallen harder. The universe does not operate on a hierarchy of worthiness. Every soul that arrives in a human body arrives with equal inherent value. What differs is not worth. What differs is assignment. And the chosen one is simply someone who agreed, at the level of the soul and before the beginning of this lifetime, to carry a specific assignment that requires a specific kind of courage. Think of it like a surgical team. Every person in that operating room matters. The anesthesiologist, the nurse, the surgeon, the technician, every role is essential, every person is necessary, and removing any one of them creates a gap that cannot be filled by the others. But the surgeon holds the scalpel. not because the surgeon is more valuable as a human being, because the surgeon has the specific training, the specific steadiness of hand, the specific combination of knowledge and nerve that this particular moment requires. The chosen one is the one holding the scalpel, not above the room, inside it, accountable to it. This is what makes the chosen one path so fundamentally different from what most people imagine it to be. It is not a life of privilege. It is a life of weight. It is the weight of knowing, even when knowing is inconvenient. The weight of being unable to unsee what you have seen, unable to unfeel what you have felt, unable to return to a smaller version of yourself once the expansion has begun. The chosen ones in history, the healers, the truth-tellers, the artists, the leaders who changed the direction of humanity, were not people who floated through life untouched by suffering. They were people who were asked to carry more than most, and who found through the carrying that they were built for exactly that load. Most chosen ones spend a significant portion of their lives in active resistance to their own assignment. This is not weakness. This is entirely human. The assignment, when it first makes itself known, is almost always terrifying. It asks too much. It points in directions that feel unreasonable. It calls you away from safety, from comfort, from the approval of people whose approval you have spent years trying to earn. And so you run, you minimize yourself, you choose careers that feel acceptable rather than callings that feel true. You build relationships that fit the version of you that others expect, rather than the version of you that your soul is quietly insisting on becoming. You tell yourself you are being humble when what you are actually being is afraid. 333 appears in the lives of chosen ones who are still running to tell them, with tremendous compassion and zero judgment, that the running has cost enough. Not that the running was wrong. The running was part of the journey. The resistance was part of the development. The detours were not wasted years, but essential chapters. But the chapter of avoidance is closing. What opens now is the chapter of acceptance. Acceptance not of defeat, but of destiny. Acceptance that you were made for something specific, that the world has a gap in exactly the shape of your gifts, and that filling that gap is not arrogance, it is service. The responsibility of the chosen one operates on multiple levels simultaneously. There is the personal responsibility, to do the inner work, to heal what has been broken, to develop the self with the same seriousness that a craftsman develops a skill, because you cannot pour from an empty vessel, and you cannot lead others into territory you have not yourself been willing to enter. There is the relational responsibility, to show up honestly in your connections, to stop performing and start being, to let the people in your life encounter the real you rather than the curated, people-pleasing version that keeps everyone comfortable but serves no one deeply. And there is the collective responsibility, the understanding that your wholeness is not a private achievement, it is a public contribution. Every time a chosen one steps fully into their alignment, the field around them shifts. People in their presence feel something they cannot name but desperately recognize, the permission to be more fully themselves. This is the true power of the chosen one, not the power to dominate or impress or accumulate, the power to liberate, the power to be so completely courageously, unapologetically yourself that everyone who encounters you remembers, even briefly, that they too have a self worth being. That is the assignment, that is the weight, that is the honor. And 333, arriving on a day charged with spiritual significance, arriving in the repeated, persistent, impossible to dismiss way that it does, is the universe placing its hand on your shoulder and saying, you agreed to this. Long before fear taught you to doubt yourself, you agreed to this. And everything you have survived, everything you have learned, everything you have become through the fire of your own particular life has been preparing you for the moment you finally stop arguing with your own greatness and simply, responsibly, courageously begin. Time is not flat. This is one of the most important truths that modern life has trained us to forget. We move through our days as though every hour carries the same weight, every morning opens with the same potential, every moment on the calendar is interchangeable with the one before it and the one after it. We have reduced time to a scheduling tool, a grid of boxes to be filled with obligations and appointments, and in doing so we have lost access to one of the most profound navigational systems available to the human soul. Ancient civilizations knew something we have largely forgotten, that time breathes, that it expands and contracts, that certain moments in the cycle of days and months and years carry a charge that other moments simply do not. They built their temples around this knowledge. They planted their crops according to it. They made their most sacred decisions, their most important declarations, their most life-altering commitments in alignment with it, because they understood that the when of a thing is not separate from the what of a thing. Timing is not incidental. Timing is architecture. May 10th is one of those charged moments. To understand why requires stepping back from the calendar as a human invention and looking at it as a spiritual map. The date falls within a window of the year that sits between two ancient energetic peaks, the cross-quarter festival of Beltane, which marks the halfway point between the spring equinox and the summer solstice, and the solstice itself, which represents the fullest expression of light in the annual cycle. This corridor of time has been recognized across cultures and across millennia as a period of unusual potency. It is the time when what was seeded in the darkness of winter has broken fully through the soil and is now reaching urgently toward the light. It is the time when growth is not just possible but almost irresistible, when the natural momentum of the universe is tilted so completely toward expansion and emergence that resistance requires more energy than surrender. To move forward during this window is to move with a current rather than against it, and the souls who receive the signal of 333 during this window are not receiving it by accident. In numerology, every date carries a vibrational signature derived from the reduction of its component numbers. May is the 5th month, 5 being the number of change, of transformation, of the breaking of old structures to make room for new ones. The 10th day carries the energy of 1, the number of beginnings, of initiation, of the individual soul stepping forward into its singular path without apology and without hesitation. Together, these energies create a date that is fundamentally about transformative new beginnings, about the kind of change that does not merely adjust the surface of a life but reorganizes it from the foundation, about the kind of beginning that you do not stumble into accidentally but choose with full awareness, full intention and full acceptance of everything that the choice will require of you. And this is precisely where 333 becomes not just a comfort but a challenge, because 333 in the context of a portal date like May 10th is not simply reassurance, it is a summons, it is the universe having spent considerable time and energy preparing you, having sent signal after signal, having orchestrated the precise sequence of experiences that brought you to this exact moment of readiness. It is the universe now standing at the door, hand outstretched and saying, it is time, not eventually, not when you feel more ready, not when the conditions are more favorable or the fear is less present or the path is more clearly lit. Now, today, on this day that was not chosen randomly but was recognized by something far wiser than your conscious mind as the optimal moment for your crossing. The concept of a portal is worth sitting with because it is more than metaphor. A portal is a threshold between two states of being. On one side is the person you have been, shaped by your history, defined by your wounds, limited by the beliefs you absorbed before you were old enough to question them, operating from patterns that once served as protection but have long since become prison walls. On the other side is the person you are becoming, the one your soul has always known you were, the one that 333 has been pointing toward with every appearance, the one that exists not in some distant future after years more of preparation but right here, right now, accessible through a single committed step across the threshold. The portal does not stay open indefinitely. This is the truth that urgency is trying to communicate, and it is important to receive it without panic but with clear-eyed seriousness. Energetic windows open and close, moments of peak alignment pass. The current that makes forward movement effortless today will not carry the same force tomorrow. This is not a threat. It is simply the nature of time, the same nature that the ancients understood and oriented their entire lives around. You are standing in an open doorway. The question is whether you will walk through it or watch it close. What does walking through it actually look like? This is where spiritual language must become practical reality, because the portal is not crossed through meditation alone, though meditation is part of it. It is not crossed through intention alone, though intention is essential. It is crossed through decision, a real one, the kind that lands in your body as a physical shift that changes the way you breathe, that reorganizes something in your nervous system because at some cellular level your entire being recognizes that something has genuinely changed. Not a tentative decision, not a provisional one hedged with escape clauses and conditions. A committed decision, the kind that closes certain doors permanently because you have chosen which door you are walking through and you are done standing in the hallway. For some people, this decision is about a relationship that has been ending slowly for years and needs to be released completely and with love. For some, it is about a creative project or a business or a calling that has been living in the imagination, fed occasionally with daydreams, but never given the full commitment of real action. For some, it is an internal decision, the decision to stop believing the story that you are not enough, not ready, not worthy of the life your soul is reaching for. The outer form of the decision is less important than the depth of it. What matters is that it is real, that it costs something, that it requires you to put down something you have been carrying that no longer belongs in your future, in exchange for something you have been afraid to reach for but have wanted with the truest, quietest, most persistent part of yourself for longer than you can remember. The universe has done its part. This is the thing that 3:33 on May 10th most wants you to understand. The preparation has been thorough. The support is not theoretical, it is structural, it is in place, it is waiting to be activated by your movement. The guides that have been with you through every dark night, every moment of doubt, every period of feeling lost and invisible and impossibly far from the life you were meant to live, they are not watching from a distance to see what you will do. They are pressed up against the threshold beside you, ready to move with you the moment you move, ready to flood the path with synchronicity and resource and the right people and the right timing, the instant your decision becomes real. What the universe cannot do, what no amount of divine support, no volume of angel numbers, no perfectly charged portal date can do, is make the decision for you. That is the one territory that belongs entirely and exclusively to your sovereign human will. The choice is yours. It has always been yours. And May 10th, with 333 burning in the air around it, is simply the moment when the cost of not choosing becomes higher than the cost of choosing, when staying where you are requires more courage than moving forward, when the familiar discomfort of remaining small finally outweighs the unfamiliar discomfort of stepping into the size you were always meant to occupy. This is the portal. This is the demand. Not a demand born of pressure or punishment, but a demand born of love, the fierce, unwavering, luminous love of a universe that has invested everything in your becoming and is now, on this day, on this charged and shimmering threshold of May 10th, simply asking you to invest everything in it too. Step through. The other side has been waiting for you long enough.